I am here to do another reading for you, another piece that I've written. It's going to be a bit different this time around. I am going to read you one of my poems. Before I do, though, I want to give a little context to why I chose it. First of all, it's something that I composed just a few days ago in a writing group that I've been a part of, and I did read it live. We had a group reading a couple of days ago, and I read it live to the group, and it was edgy for me to read one of my poems, and I'll tell you why in a moment. And I decided that I wanted to share it here. Back in 2015, when I was living in Portland, I applied to be and was accepted in a program at the Attic Institute, which is a writing community in Portland that offers a fellowship program every year. And they accept a handful of writers to work intimately with accomplished writers in their given field of expertise. So, writers in fiction, nonfiction, poetry. And I was accepted to be a fellow in the nonfiction program. And I was honored to learn from all of my peers who were writing amazing work, and also to be mentored by two nonfiction authors who I very much respect. Whitney Otto, who you might know, How to Make an American Quilt. One of her books was turned into a movie back in the day with Winona Ryder. She's an amazing writer. It's just one of her many great works. And another author who I didn't know of before, which I'm so glad I became exposed to her work, Vanessa Valseca, who's working on releasing a book right now, I believe, whose title I'm embarrassed. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think it's officially out yet, but I'll keep you posted on that. She's an amazing powerhouse of a woman and an incredible writer. And these were my mentors. And so I would meet with them regularly. I would submit my work to them. They would review it and give me feedback. And I was in one such meeting with Vanessa. We met at Common Ground Coffee Shop on Hawthorne in Portland one day. And she had reviewed the pages I sent to her and was sharing with me her wonderful constructive feedback on my work, which I would record every session with her. There was just such a wealth of insight that she offered me. So she's flipping through the pages, and so she's kind of going through, reviewing all the different things, her different thoughts and observations. And she gets to this particular page, and she begins underlining a few sentences in a paragraph. And as she does it, she just casually says to me, "So I'm not sure who you're performing for here." And she continues speaking. And when she said this sentence, it was just one of those moments where you ever have those moments where someone says something and you're like, this is a moment that I will never forget. It just lands in your bones in a particular way that is just like, bong, reverberates. I'm just not sure who you're performing for here. My response in the moment, I felt no offense. I felt no defensiveness. All I felt was this odd, like this tension I had been carrying, like the way that a great comedian can sort of cut through the tension and say the truth in a way that just sort of lets the facade crumble. That's what this statement did for me. Like she said, I'm not sure who you're performing for here. And I just broke into hilarity. I just started laughing because it was like she, with her pen, it was like a sword that she had just slid right underneath my armor. And it didn't hurt. It just felt like the truth. Like she touched something in me. This energy that I had been carrying in my writing that I wasn't conscious of it until she said this, that I needed to perform. And that I was hiding behind my language. I was hiding behind how much language I was using. I was hiding behind my eloquence, all the things I had been praised for in terms of my writing, instead of just delivering what it was I wanted to say. It was one of the best gifts she could have given me, just this one sentence that she said very casually and very honestly, which when a strong woman says something honest to another woman, it's like there's just no point, there's no potency like that. And I'm grateful to her. That being said, that was 2015. I've spent the last 5 years still unraveling. Like, how do I stop doing this? How do I stop this reflex of hiding? And as I was in my writing session the other day, I was given a prompt. The prompt was in the context of a larger work that was read to us, but the prompt was sometimes in the garden, dot, 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 ellipses. And I opened my page to write, and instead of writing the way that I've been writing the last few years, a poem came out. And poetry is something that I had always reserved for really raw moments in my life. I love writing poetry, and I haven't done it in years. And why I'm sharing this sort of prelude story about Vanessa and this insight she gave me is that when I write poetry, it's like impossible for me to hide. It reveals me. It's like all the armor of the extra words are gone, and it's just how I feel in the moment that remains. So this poem that I wrote, that I read to a group the other night, I decided I wanted to share it with you. For context, before I wrote it, or that day when I was given this prompt, I was really feeling a lot of conflict inside about how I wanted to, and if I wanted to, show up in the world back in sort of my work as a coach. And I'm realizing that I'm wanting to let go of that label. And so the question becomes, well, what do I do if not that? And if I do a different version of that, what are the models out there for me? And I was looking at models of where I might, the direction I might take my work, and I was just feeling frustrated. I was just feeling a little bit of resentment of sort of the age of social media, and I was feeling a little lost. And so I wrote this poem and I want to share with you. It's called Unabbreviated. Sometimes in the garden, I forget who I am, and I fall forward onto both hands like a toddler. I often wish for wings, but my armor most defines me. I am the pill bug that curls inward only to unfurl again when no one is looking. This life is worn, worn in, worn on the surface, worn to the touch. Midlife is like sandpaper, smoothing my tattered edges. If I sing as the dust scatters, my calloused thinking is ground to dirt, and my heart is the only thing left standing. Repeat your lines over and over. Tear another page from the same book. Drip, drip, drip your flashing vacancy sign into the need feed. No cup ever full. Want, linger, scroll. Rage, rinse, repeat. It's a bottomless dive into the shallowest of pools. And if your God doesn't know how to swim, well, what then? I never wanted to marry, not man nor woman nor god of commerce. So how is it that I became betrothed to you? Waving my invisible hands, crying out, "Follow me." Become a noose around my neck. Watch me try to pour a tempest of truth into each tiny container they offer. Character limits save us from the depths that would surely emerge were we to live our lives unabbreviated. I'll show you the empty spaces where I once lived. Sometimes I may even dance for you there, like a clown on a stage, gyrating and oozing with comedic grace. You will know that I am lying, but it won't matter. If you feel something, you'll applaud with your thumb and your thumb alone. Who would I be if I were not your tambourine, the one you bang against your thigh, a steady beat for you to keep time with? Who does she think she is? That pretty purveyor of pretense? I will squint in order to find her faults. No, wait. Maybe today I will shape my life to look more like hers. Whose life is this anyway? If I myself become the paper doll that other women want to wrap themselves inside, will I have arrived at the place, the one they call success? Celebrity clickbait, influence filtered, therefore valid? A digital pilgrimage toward immortality, the live feed makes martyrs of many. Live feed or feast on life? I hope to one day be brave enough to choose the latter. I'll spend long days nibbling on ripe fruit with salt, sticky fingers, sand in my suit, skin saturated with God sauce. I want to be a poem, a pitcher of water, pouring into a bowl that overflows all over the table, ink blurring pages scattered around my dirt-stained feet. So I will keep giving myself to her, only to forget again, and she will laugh with her dark and generous glee. Enamored by her silent promise, once again I will whisper, "Take me with you." Then I will kick and scream mercy as she drags me home, home again, onto my knees. Poetry. It says so much, and it's also yours to decipher. I won't tell you what it means. I'll just leave it right there. I'll also post a link to the poem if you want to read it through on your own. And I will say thank you for listening. As always, until next time, have a wonderful weekend.